that fight, the best came out of me.
Only 90 seconds into the fight, Oscar opened a cut over Chavez's left eye and went after it savagely.
When I saw that blood, I just wanted to see more. It just felt good to see him bleed.
It's an extremely competitive side of Oscar and a very vicious side of Oscar when he's in the ring.
By the fourth round, the cut was so bad that the referee called the fight.
It was satisfying, and it was kind of sad at the same time, because here you have Julio Cesar Chavez, my idol growing up in boxing. And when I beat him, when I saw him across that ring and he was just covered with blood, I just felt really bad for him. I was like, my gosh, I did this to you?
The Golden Boy was crowned the new king of the non-heavyweight circuit, and his appeal to women turned into outright obsession.
When I beat Chavez, I started getting a following, a big following, a woman following.
I remember once they had like 4,000 girls, young girls at 14, 15 years old with signs, marry me, Oscar.
I saw press conferences where we couldn't get out to get to the car because all these women were around throwing panties at him.
Now a bona fide superstar, Oscar readied for his first major title defense against Pernell Whitaker.
Whitaker, he's got a really, really funky style.
Pernell Whitaker, being such a skillful fighter, made it very difficult for Oscar.
Whitaker surprised the De La Hoya corner by revealing an unorthodox fighting style.
It was a very, very tricky fight. He got inside my mind.
The last 3 rounds, Oscar De La Hoya was throwing punches, and he won those rounds, I felt, where Pernell Whitaker actually quit fighting.
Oscar won by decision, but the outcome didn't satisfy many fight fans.
Oscar was knocking everybody out, and when he beat Whitaker by decision, they were disappointed because they felt that to be considered a great champion, you have to knock out the champion.
Just 2 months after defeating Whitaker, on June 22nd, 1997, Oscar drove home from a Hollywood Awards banquet.
It was probably around 12 o'clock at night. I'm driving on the fast lane, and all of a sudden, the car starts slowing down. For no reason. The steering wheel locked on me. So I get out of the car.
Runs across the freeway to use the phone, and I guess a couple seconds later,
I can just hear a big semi-truck just totaled the whole car.
A matter of a few seconds was the difference between life and death. And the reason seems clear to Oscar.
I'm convinced that my mother's taking care of me.
Oscar has a guardian angel watching over him. I don't know anybody else that's as lucky as he is.
The accident was only the beginning of turmoil in his personal life. While training for an upcoming fight against Ike Corte, Oscar was accused of fathering an ex-girlfriend's baby.
It's very, very hard for young, virile men to withstand the temptations of women throwing themselves at him.
Things got out of control. They got out of hand.
Oscar went into the Corte fight distracted, and it showed.
Neither guy had established any real dominant control. Corte was slightly ahead by most people's estimation.
Sensing his first professional defeat, Oscar let loose during an unforgettable 12th round.
All that anger just came out of me.
Oscar's willing to take a chance. He's a winner, take all type guy. And he gambled. He let it all hang out.
Oscar escaped with a win, but he couldn't escape the difficult times ahead.
De La Hoya has been accused of inappropriate behavior.
There's been so many low points in my career, having a lot of lawsuits, my 2 kids out of wedlock.
In 1999, Oscar De La Hoya had a record of 31-0 and held 3 title belts. To boxing fans, the Golden Boy seemed invincible.
He's totally at home in the boxing ring. He actually enjoys beating up people.
But out of the ring, Oscar was making news of a different kind. His first son, Jacob, was born to an ex-girlfriend, and his reputation took a hit when unproven allegations of rape surfaced in the media.
I just didn't know what to do. And so things from the get-go got difficult for me. Having to meet all these women and being around so many people, that took the shyness out of me.
Then, Oscar captured everyone's attention when he began dating Shayna Moakler, an actress and former Miss USA.
When Oscar met Shayna, he genuinely cared about her.
We were dating, like boyfriend, girlfriend. She announced to me that she was pregnant. So I was like, whoa, okay, that's not what we planned for.
Deep down in his heart, he was never going to hook up long-term with somebody who had the fast-track lifestyle that Shayna did.
When the relationship finally broke up, she slapped Oscar with a $62 million palimony suit.
Having my 2 kids out of wedlock, even though I adore my kids, I didn't think it was gonna be like this.
After settling the lawsuit with Moakler, Oscar went into the ring for his biggest bout yet. A much-anticipated fight against undefeated Felix Trinidad.
Going into the fight with Trinidad, they had a preconceived plan set up, and they anticipated a different fighter than the one that showed up.
Early in the fight, it looked like another dominant De La Hoya performance.
Trinidad came in looking weak. I thought Oscar's corner should have changed their plan and should have sent him out to attack. I think if they had did that, Oscar would have knocked out Felix Trinidad in 2 or 3 rounds.
But with Oscar clearly winning the fight, his corner finally did change their plan.
Oscar was so ahead in points that it wasn't worth risking winning the next couple of rounds. And the strategy, it blew up in their face.
Virtually got to be like a foot race. And that was very upsetting to a lot of the fans as well as the officials.
As the decision was announced, both fighters thought they would emerge victorious.
Oscar won the fight, and he gave the fight away.
He really got screwed by the judges. He knew, like everybody else knew, that he beat Trinidad.
How can you lose in a fight when you're winning, when you got 10 rounds in the bag? It's impossible.
A fighter knows when he loses. You feel like a loser. You feel like if you just got beat. I didn't feel that way. It just, that night didn't feel that way.
Publicly, the Golden Boy remained gracious and good-natured. But when the loss sunk in, the private Oscar was devastated.
After the fight, actually, I was very calm. Not saying a word. I was still smiling. I went back to the locker room. I went crazy. I started crying. I was punching the locker rooms. I went crazy. My gosh, I didn't know what was going on.
Comfort would come from the unlikeliest source, his father.
My dad thought he did a hell of a job. Put on a great boxing performance, tell him how good he looked.
My father had told me, don't worry about it, you beat him. You did beat him. And that was like the first time when I heard my father say, you know, you did good, you beat him, when I lost.
After a year of personal problems and his first professional loss, Oscar was emotionally drained. He lacked the inspiration to return to the ring.
I remember one night, he says, Manuel, I miss my mama. I say, yeah, I really miss my mother.
I feel her when I'm in Big Bear, training. There's times that I've waken up early in the morning and somebody's touching me or somebody's there. I feel a presence, and I believe it's her.
Rather than go right back into training, Oscar decided to record an album of Spanish songs for his mother.
I feel like I'm living, again, my mother's dream through me.
I think she kind of inspired him to sing.
Many wondered about the logic of recording an album, especially when a date had been set for an upcoming